All right, Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So today we got a big injury update from Coach Harbaugh in regards to the individual players that are dealing with injuries. The ones that were injured before the game and the ones that got injured in the game yesterday against the Houston Texans. We got an injury update about them. So we're going to discuss it. We're going to go one by one and talk about each of the individuals on the list. Unfortunately, we do have a list. It sucks. It's only week one and multiple players are getting injured. But, there is some optimism based on what we heard from Coach Harbaugh today. So let's go into each individual injury, discuss it, and see how the situation is. So let's start off with the simplest one to discuss. J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, in yesterday's game against the Houston Texans, went down with an injury. It was a situation where he caught a pass from Lamar Jackson. It was second and goal at the goal line. He caught a pass from Lamar. He got tackled, and then all of a sudden it was tough for him to get back up. He was able to stand up, but he could not walk afterwards. He had to be assisted out of the game. After the game, there was fear that he tore his Achilles. Today, they did the MRI. They did confirm it. He has a torn Achilles. He is officially out for the rest of this season. It's unfortunate. It's tough. But that's just how it goes sometimes with the game, man. Injuries are a part of the game, and it sucks that we have to deal with it, but it is something that does happen. So in regards to J.K. Dobbins, he will be having surgery on Friday, and from there, he'll start the recovery process. Now, J.K. Dobbins has some hope and optimism in terms of the amount of time it will take him to get back from this injury. Now, that does not mean he's going to play this year. He is 100% out. But he believes that it's possible for him to recover in the same amount of time frame that it took Cam Akers to recover, which was about 6 months. So we'll see how that goes. If he's able to recover in that level of time, obviously he'll be good to go for training camp next year most likely. But we're thinking too far ahead into the future. Right now, he's out for the season. He'll be getting surgery on Friday, and he'll start his rehab process. So that's happening with J.K. Dobbins. Next up is Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams, at some point in yesterday's game against the Texans, he was taken out. He took a hit somewhere. I don't even remember the play. It was somewhere, I believe in the second or third quarter. It happened at some point, and then he was just out of the game. We did not know what it was. At the time, they reported it to be a shoulder injury. Then we heard later on that they feared he had suffered a torn pec. Today, Coach Harbaugh did confirm that it is a pec injury. However, we don't know the severity of that injury. Right now, Marcus Williams is consulting some doctors in weighing his options as to what to do. If surgery is needed, more than likely, he's out for the rest of the season. But if surgery is not needed and there's alternate ways for him to be able to deal with that, similar to what TJ Watt dealt with last year, then he's going to miss a good chunk of the season, but he will be able to return at some point. Right now, he's out for a long period of time. We don't know how long, but he's out. Obviously, he's going to have to make a decision. If he does decide to get surgery, his season's done. If not, and he chooses to play through it, he will be back at some point in the season, probably aimed towards December, similar to what happened with him last season. So that's kind of the situation with Marcus Williams. He's weighing his options. So we don't know if he's going to be gone for the rest of the season or not. It's a situation we just have to wait and see. Next up, we have Tyler Linderbaum. He suffered an injury in the game against the Houston Texans, and it was a tough one. It was an ankle injury. It was a situation where we saw a defender. They showed the replay. We saw a defender land on Tyler Linderbaum's leg. He landed on his leg, and it seemed bad. He was holding his ankle, so it looked like that was the location. Obviously, he was taken out. He was able to walk on his own 2 feet and get off the field, but obviously he was hurt. Well, John Harbaugh did confirm that Tyler Linderbaum suffered a sprained ankle. So he's dealing with a sprained ankle. He will be week to week, and there's a chance that he will not play in this game next week, this upcoming week on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. So he's week to week. He's most likely not going to play, but the possibility of him playing could be there. It just depends on how he looks throughout the week. They're not going to try to rush him back, but he does have an ankle sprain. That's just what we're going to deal with moving forward. Next up, we have Ronnie Stanley, who also went down with an injury. Now, this one is tough because we already knew Ronnie Stanley dealt with that huge injury a couple years ago that nearly ended his career. So to see him finally get back healthy just to suffer another injury is tough. from what we've heard, the injury is a knee sprain. It's not an ankle sprain, it's a knee sprain. I've seen some reports say it's an ankle sprain. Either way, it's some sprain. I heard it was a knee sprain, I'm going to go with that one. So he's dealing with the leg injury of some sort. This is also week to week. According to John Harbaugh, it's also week to week. He'll be dealing with that week to week, and there's a good chance he's not going to play as well against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. So both Linderbaum and Ronnie Stanley could be out for this game against Cincinnati, but depending on the injury, it's possible they could come back. We're just not fully sure, but I don't think the Ravens are going to try to take any chances. I'm going to rule both of them out of this game. If they play, I'll be surprised, but I'm going to rule both of them out of this game just because the Ravens are not going to take chances with those two guys. Those are the two most important guys on your offensive line. They're not going to risk these guys out there if they're not 100%. They're just not going to do that. So I just believe they're both going to be out for this week, and we'll probably look towards week 3, depending on how they're feeling. So yeah, both of them obviously are very vital parts of the offensive line, you know, with Linderbaum being our center and Ronnie Stanley being our left tackle. They are very vital to the offensive line, but, you know, we're not going to try to rush it back. We'll just have to manage until they get back and until they're 100%. So yeah, I'm going to assume they're going to be out of this game, but depending on how things go throughout the week, it's possible that they could come back. So we'll just have to wait and see in regards to that. Last but not least, Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey, we already know he was dealing with a foot injury during the preseason, during training camp. It was a tough injury for him to deal with. Eventually, he did have to go and get foot surgery. Now, when we heard him getting foot surgery, we knew this injury was probably going to take him out for a while. And with him getting surgery, we knew it was going to be a tedious process. I think the initial call for time in terms of his return would be about 5 to 6 weeks. I think they said, you know, it was a foot injury. He got surgery immediately on it, and it would be about 5 to 6 weeks. And he got injured about a month, maybe about a month, maybe a little over a month ago. So we're about that time frame for him to come back. You know, so it was a situation would be a 5, 6, maybe 7 week recovery process. I'm not fully sure. Either way, he had a foot injury. He got surgery for that. He was supposed to be out for about 5 to 6 weeks, and we're around that range where he could potentially come back. And John Harbaugh talked about it. There's some optimism and some hope that Marlon Humphrey could return and play against Cincinnati on Sunday. Now, of course, with this situation, they have to monitor it. I don't know if he's been practicing or if this week's going to be the first time he's coming back to practice. I do not know. But according to Coach Harbaugh, Marlon Humphrey has a chance to play in this game. Nothing's confirmed yet, and they're going to monitor how Marlon Humphrey looks this week. But if everything goes to plan, if he looks great, if he feels great, if he looks fine, and he passes all the eye tests and everything the Ravens are looking for in order to have him ready to go, then he may play against Cincinnati. If not, you'll probably look towards him playing the following week against the Colts. Either way, Marlon Humphrey's return is approaching, and it's a lot closer than what I expected. I thought he could be out the first month of the season, but he may be back as early as this week against Cincinnati. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the injury report. You got J.K. Dobbins out for the season with a torn Achilles. Marcus Williams right now weighing his option, dealing with that torn pec. He may or may not be out for the season. We'll just have to wait and see. Ronnie Stanley dealing with that knee sprain. He's week to week. Tyler Linderbaum dealing with that ankle sprain. He's week to week. And then Marlon Humphrey on the verge of returning. Could return as early as this week. Maybe we may see him next week, but he should be back soon. And that's pretty much all we have here because obviously we know, at least for the first 4 games of the season, we're not going to see Tyus Bowser, so we're not going to worry about him. But past that, we know about everyone else. Oh, yeah, and I guess to add this in, Mark Andrews. We know he could have potentially played in the Week 1 game against the Texans, but they didn't want to try to put him out there while he's still dealing with that quad injury. I'm going to say we haven't heard much about that. He might be good to go against Cincinnati. He's practicing. It's not like he isn't practicing. He was practicing last week, but they just didn't want to rush him and try to throw him in there. So in terms of Mark Andrews, he may return this week, but we didn't really get an indication as to what's happening with him. Again, from what we've heard, he probably could have played in Week 1, but there's no point in trying to put a guy that's dealing with the injury out there in Week 1 to put him at risk. Just wait the extra week, give him an extra week to rest, see how that quad's feeling as he goes throughout the week in practice, and we'll just go from there. So, yeah, Mark Andrews could be playing next week. I'm not next week, this upcoming week against Cincinnati. If not, I expect he will be back against the Colts because by then he'll be 100%. As for Marlon Humphrey, the same conversation there. He may be able to play this week. If not, he might be back next week against the Colts. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I have to talk about here regarding the injuries and how things are going to go. And yeah, we'll just see, man. It sucks that we're dealing with these injuries. It's only week 1, and several of our key players are already nearly dealing with severe injuries. You already lost one, you might be losing another one, and then the other 2 barely escaped from dealing with a severe injury, but they will miss some time. We're getting 2 guys back, but we just don't know if it's going to be this week or not. It's unfortunate. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Guys, I really hope we're not dealing with a situation where everybody's going to be injured by like week 10. I can't deal with another season of that. But we'll just have to wait and see. That's all I got for you guys, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.